What's up everybody, it is Jay here. I still can't make a thumbnail. This is going to be the second video in a row with a terrible thumbnail. And today I'm going to talk about how I knew I was trans. I know I already have a video on my channel of the same type and I will link it up there, but I want to make this one now again because I wanted to kind of update that video. I hadn't really thought about it as much back when I made that video, and I kind of made it because I knew that every trans YouTuber had one, but I do feel like it's lacking in some respects, and that like there's some stuff that I didn't mention and that I should mention, and I think that there's some things that occurred to me since making that video that are relevant to bring up again. So first and foremost, I want to stress kind of a nuance that occurred to me about realizing that you're trans. Individually, each of these things did not necessarily mean that I was trans. Individually, if these things occurred on their own, it would not indicate that I am trans. But the fact that all of these things came together and linked into each other meant that, okay, yeah, I'm trans, you know? It's like these things on their own would not have meant the same thing. But this is how it is. All of these things happened at once. So you may relate to, like, if you're trying to figure out if you're trans or not, you may relate to some of these things, you may not relate to others of these things, but be aware of the fact that just because you identify with one or two of these things doesn't necessarily mean you're trans. And be aware of the fact that, like, you can identify with all of these things and not be trans, or you can identify with none of them and still be trans. My way of knowing that I was trans is my own, and everybody has their own way of knowing that they're trans. And if you are trying to figure out if you're trans or not, watch loads of videos like this. Don't just watch mine, because everybody's story is different. So first and foremost, always hated words that were feminine. I didn't like words like she, her, woman, girl, lady, anything like that. Didn't like it. Never did. Never. Like, I remember, like, being, like, 5 or 6 and, like, being referred to as a young lady by my aunt and hating it. No idea why. Just never worked well with me. I never liked it at all. Just no. Down with that sort of thing. Another thing that I always knew, even as a really young child, was that I really hate women's spaces. I didn't like going to women's bathrooms because I felt like they knew that I didn't feel like I should be in that space. I didn't like being in women's groups, even though I was in Girl Guides, I was in Girls Brigade, I was in girls groups, but I always felt like an outlier in those groups. Not that I wasn't included, not that I wasn't liked, but that I was just different from everybody else. I didn't connect to other women the way that I felt like I was supposed to as a girl. And I really want to stress that this one thing does not make you trans, but I really hated feminine clothing. Now, there are plenty of cisgender women who really hate feminine clothing and wear masculine clothing and wear men's clothes, and that's fine. But for me, when this was added into everything else, it's kind of like it does relate to me being trans. Granted, I do feel like as over time I become more masculine myself in terms of like testosterone looking more masculine, and when I get top surgery and stuff like that, I do feel like I will be more comfortable wearing feminine clothes and I'll be more open to dressing femininely. But that at present, that is not how it works for me, because not being feminine means that I'm not masculine, and not being masculine means that I'm not comfortable. I would need to have enough masculinity regardless in order for me to feel comfortable with feminine things. This is another thing that definitely does not mean you are definitively trans, because there are definitely cis people who feel the same way about these things, and there are definitely people who are also non-binary and stuff who feel the same way. So you may not necessarily be a trans man if you feel these things. You might be non-binary, or you could just be cis. I really didn't like my body once I hit puberty, that is. I didn't like boobs. No thank you. I had discomfort with my genitals, but obviously that's less severe for me because I don't think I would get bottom surgery, but that it's definitely there. I know that I should have something else. I know that there should be something else, but like my reasons for not wanting bottom surgery are long and complicated, and I won't talk about them here. But that, like, I do have a discomfort with my body. I most certainly have gender dysphoria. And also to note that you don't need to feel uncomfortable with your body to be trans. That is not required. You don't need to have gender dysphoria to be trans, but I definitely do have physical gender dysphoria. And lastly, I just wasn't happy. You know, I was really not very happy as a kid, and not very happy as like a teenager for sure, like a young teenager. Like, okay, with a kid it was kind of like a lingering sort of unhappiness kind of thing. And then as I became like 10 to like 14, it was proper full on depressed kind of stuff. So it's like I wasn't happy, and then I came out and I started living my life as a man, and now I am. And I don't feel like that's just one of those coincidences. I do definitely feel like because I am getting to live my life as a man, I am a happier person because this is who I am. This is how I'm meant to live my life, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And you know, that's that's how it is for me. And I think that's really important to think about as well, that you don't need to focus on all the negative feelings that you have. If you feel happier doing something else, that's just as valid as feeling sad doing something. The happiness that you're experiencing is just as important. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please click the like button down below. The comment section is open for any questions you might have about anything I've said in this video or just in general. And the subscription button is over here, I think. It might be over here, I don't know. The videos flip usually. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.